In the past 2 years alone, we've seen all kinds of pro and collegiate athletes and coaches suspended or fired for gambling violations. And then there's guys like Raptors' Jontay Porter and the Padres' Tucupita Marcano. These dudes been banned for life. Why does this keep happening? Let's talk with New York Post betting analyst Erich Richter on the how and the why these dudes are betting on their careers. Erich, you're great at what you do. Thanks for coming on with us. The betting side of sports pays your bills and a lot of sports fans' bills, but it ain't paying these players' bills. It's killing them. So, again, thanks for coming on. I'm a little fired up about this because these dudes are throwing away their careers. I understand that they're allowed to bet on other sports, but not their sport. So what is it about sports betting that's causing these dudes to have these idiotic moments and bet on or against their own team and within their own sport?
Really, it just seems like it's dumb. And thanks for having me on, Brandon. I'm happy to talk about this. It seems like it's more lack of education. It's really tough to make sense of. You'll notice that, the Padres player who was banned for life, he literally, was just parlaying his team to lose. It really makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to him. It makes no sense to the leagues, I'm sure. And Marcano was making enough money for it to really, you would think to not do something like this. And, Jontay Porter, obviously he was in and out of the league. You'll notice that a lot of minor league guys were involved in it as well. I guess in some ways it could be about, lack of education. This is a newer thing. And, Marcano was signed out of Venezuela in 2016. So maybe he wasn't fully, engrossed in the culture of why this isn't okay. But, those are all just excuses. At the end of the day, there's no excuse for this. Marcano's out of the league. He deserves to be out of the league. He probably will never make big time money ever again. He was making, he had over $2 million in career earnings. What I wrote in the paper this morning and online yesterday. It makes no sense. I don't know why he's doing it. I don't know why they are doing it. I don't know how Porter got involved either. I actually was one of the first people reporting that he was involved in gambling while he was a member of the G League affiliate team. So, yeah, it's not a good situation at all.
You're making $2 million and you're betting your career, your life, for what, a couple tens of $1,000s? I don't get it. And we'll talk about the educational standpoint because it's all excuses on why someone who, when these leagues are telling you not to do it, you're going to get caught, they still do it. And when it comes to these betting, because you're talking about the parlays, man, the parlays is like a carrot hanging in front of a turtle's face. Like those things, I can see why sports fans will bet on it. So how are the players getting caught? What are like the most common bets that are being placed that's jamming these guys up?
Yeah, so getting into the really nitty gritty, right? Talking to the sports books every week. So DraftKings has a database, right? And they, jQuery database, and basically all of the names of players that are in the league go into a database. Even when you have a DraftKings account or a PointsBet account or whatever sports book you're using, all of those names go into a database, and then you'll get flagged if you are even related to a player or related to somebody who shouldn't be gambling. I have friends that work in leagues. They are not allowed to gamble on basketball or on football, depending on what league they're a part of. So basically, on the legal gambling market, that's how it would work, right? Your name just goes into a database, and then that database will just kick out your name, and then you'll get in trouble, right? So that's how it works on the legal market. Now, on the illegal market, it's a little bit more complicated. So think about what happened with Shohei Ohtani, David Fletcher, the minor league player on the Angels. Both of those guys were not on a database, right? Because illegal gambling operation. Basically what will happen is that illegal gambling operation will eventually get into trouble, right, for doing it. This isn't a small bookmaker here. This is an operation. Ohtani's interpreter was betting hundreds of millions of dollars in just a couple years. So this is massive amounts of money, right? So you get caught, and basically, in just like in terms of when you're getting in trouble for anything, you'll start singing other people's names and giving information probation out just to get a lighter sentence. You know, it's really it boils down to an organized crime scenario, just like the RICO acts of the 80s. But that's really what it gets into. And I even wrote about in the 60s college basketball. From 1955 to 1980 with Boston College. Organized crime really shaved a lot of points off of college basketball games, and no one was beating the spread. That's in a way the illegal bookmaking world. It's kind of the same now.
Do you believe these players when they say, "I didn't know"?
Maybe back in 2020, if it was a couple years ago that they got in trouble, like Marcano got in trouble last year. But back in 2020, maybe you could argue that you didn't know, and the sports books are only now searching for your name through a database. Yeah, if depending on when you did it, you can't say it in the last year.
Yeah, I remember a bunch of the Detroit Lions guys when they got caught up. Some of them weren't betting on the NFL. They were betting on college games, but they did it from the NFL facility. So that's something which is you can't do. So that's something where I'd be like, but if you got caught up doing it again in 2024 after that's been released and you can't do that, then again, no excuses. So I know from a player standpoint on what needs to be done for dudes not to get caught up. And I guess me being a father now was just like, don't do it. But that's easier said than done. What do you think the leagues and the clubs need to do to keep these dudes from throwing away their careers?
So I wrote about Chad Knight today, and Chad Knight is a Duke baseball player, or was a Duke baseball player. He just graduated. Congratulations to him. And he tweeted, he said, "Goodbye, Duke baseball. Hello, DraftKings." Right? That was like his little joke, and actually tongue in cheek, kind of funny, kind of topical, relevant, if you will. But basically, NCAA players cannot gamble in sports under any circumstances. I don't see why you can't have this in any way in football, baseball, basketball, in any professional sport. I don't see why that is impossible to do. Like, yeah, you can't bet on the sport, but it's a really slippery slope. Look at Jonte Porter. Jonte Porter was doing what he was doing. He was hitting his unders because he owed money. Right. And he owed money from gambling. And I reported back when he was on a G League team in and out of the league, he was saying shout out to this person for this March Madness parlay that won me a bunch of money. That's all awesome. And that's fine and dandy that he won money there. But what happens? The life of a gambler is it's almost like the life of a salesman. If you read that book, it's a sad life for a professional gambler in most cases. So, when you're gambling a lot, eventually you're going to lose. Maybe you're going to be on a credit system and you're going to be down money, and then you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do in order to make up for that. Otherwise you're risking your life and your health. So when you look at it from that perspective, I would say if we really, really cared, really, really wanted to fix this, and we're probably going to have to soon, it's probably going to lead to no sports betting on apps at all. No DraftKings accounts, FanDuel accounts. Those are all probably going to go by the wayside, would be my guess.
Yeah, because when the players compromise, you're compromising the entire locker room. We put our blood, sweat, and tears in. We're away from our families for X amount of months of the years, and you're not hitting that shot purposely because you want to hit an under because you owe Sam Rothstein or some bookie some money, and now you're playing like trash, putting our season in jeopardy. Erich, man, thanks for hopping on. Again, you're great at what you do, man. I'm more mad at the athletes, man. You're doing it legally. You're doing your thing, man. Keep those parlays going for our fans of the New York Post Sports, man. Thanks for hopping on with us.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I appreciate you, man.